All right, Nick, let's talk about the Detroit Lions. Obviously, the Lions have lost both coordinators when it comes to Ben Johnson going to the Bears, Aaron Glenn going to the Jets. They were prepared for those things to happen. I think everybody expected that to happen. But when it came to offensive line coach Hank Fraley getting some play around the league as potentially a guy on Ben Johnson's staff or to be an offensive coordinator over in Seattle, starting to kind of get a little nervous. Was he going to stay? Was he going to go? Will the Lions lose another really solid coach from this staff? Well, we've got a great update on that for the Lions fans. But before we get into that, I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, Fraley, will he stay? Will he go? That was the question for Lions fans the last couple of days. And now we have a definitive answer on what exactly his decision was. Let's get on into it. This is article from over on NBC Sports. It says the Lions have lost both their coordinators, but they won't be losing offensive line coach Hank Fraley. Fraley's wife posted on social media that the family is staying in Detroit, and multiple reporters have said he confirmed that he will remain on the Lions staff. Fraley had been a candidate to either follow former Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson to Chicago and join the Bears staff, or become the offensive coordinator in Seattle. Instead, he will do neither and stay in Detroit. Lions head coach Dan Campbell will be giving Fraley a promotion to run game coordinator in addition to being the offensive line coach. I think this is really big news for Lions fans. I think this is going to be solid just to have a little bit of continuity on this staff. Fraley is such an integral piece of developing the offensive line on this Lions team. I think he's a really, really good catch here for the Lions. Nick, I'm curious what your thoughts are, but before we get to you, Lions fans, in the comment section below, let us know, what are your thoughts on Fraley staying? Is this an A save by Dan Campbell to go ahead and keep Fraley, give him a promotion, give him what he wants to stay in Detroit? Is it a C? Could you take it or leave it if he left or not? Or is it an F, where you're tired of him? You're ready for some new blood, get an entire new staff in here? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what are your thoughts on the latest here for the Lions?
So I've got two thoughts, right, when it comes to this. And like Ben Johnson was the big name, obviously, got all the attention when it came to the Lions offense with all the trick plays and things like that and the cool designs. And all credit to him. He did a great job. But we all know this. The Lions were and have been the last few years a running football team. They're good offensively because they can run the football down their opponent's throats, just dominate them game after game after game, right? Ben Johnson's trick plays are cool. They're fun. They're great highlights. But if you go back and watch a lot of the highlights of these trick plays, the Lions are already up like 21-3. Trick play makes them 28-3, right? Because they've already ran for $150, and Jared Goff has hit a few big play action plays down the field. So running the football with the offensive line leading the charge, that's what the Lions do best. It reminds me of the way someone once originally described the old Apple when they had the iPod and all this iPhone stuff when it first came out. They said their Apple CEO, the late Steve Jobs, he was the guy running the show, but Johnny Ive was the guy who designed the phone. And without Ive, there is no iPhone, right? So everyone gives Jobs all the credit, but the guy who actually designed the iPhone and the iPod, he was the real driving force behind the scenes. I feel like the offensive line is the real driving force behind the scenes with the Detroit Lions. I think retaining Fraley is an absolutely outstanding move for the Lions going forward. I think he is part of the secret sauce that makes this Lions great. Not taking anything away from Ben Johnson, but I think if you take away great offensive line coach from Ben Johnson, Detroit offense, it looks a lot different. And I honestly think Ben Johnson will probably figure that out with the Bears, which is why he was so aggressively going after Fraley, because even Johnson, I'm sure, understands how important this coach is. But my second thought is more of a high-level thought on the Detroit Lions. I played one AA college football, FCS college football, small time. But we had a similar situation where our head coach was leaving to get a big promotion. He took some assistants with him, but not all of them. Most of them actually stayed in the current school, the school I was at. And I thought that was an indicator that the culture was solid, that the culture wasn't tied to one coach or one assistant. The culture was ingrained with the program. And I think that's what we're seeing with the Detroit Lions here. Look, some coaches are going to leave and take promotions. That's just going to happen. And of course, all the power to them. Rising through the ranks is exactly what coaches should do. But you have Aaron Glenn leaving. You got Ben Johnson leaving. And a lot of coaches are staying. A lot of coaches are focused on taking the Lions to the next level. To me, that's an indication that Dan Campbell's culture, it wasn't dependent on Aaron Glenn. It wasn't dependent on Ben Johnson. Those guys were key pieces of that culture, but they were not the system itself. The system that Dan Campbell implemented, that's what really matters. And I think that's a great sign for the future of the Detroit Lions, because if you look at consistently good teams, go back over the past 2 decades, the New England Patriots under Belichick and now the Kansas City Chiefs really stand out. Both of those teams routinely lost coordinators all the time, but the system prevailed. I think the fact that Fraley is staying is an indication that Fraley believes in the Lions culture is sound enough that the system will prevail, and I think that's a great sign for the future of the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, Nick, and when you look around the ball for the Detroit Lions, obviously, you look at the strengths and weaknesses of this team. Ben Johnson did a great job getting this offense to where it needed to be. Aaron Glenn, I would say, a more impressive job of keeping this defense to be somewhat passable with all of the injuries the Lions had this season. So I think they're really solid on defense as well. I don't want to discredit them much here, but when you look at the offense, you look at how good some of these skill position players are for the Lions. Sam Laporta, top 10 tight end per PFF. Amon-Ra St. Brown, top 5 receiver per PFF. Jared Goff, top 15 quarterback. Jahmyr Gibbs, top 6 running back. Why is that? That's because across the offensive line, you have Penny Sewell at right tackle, 3rd in the NFL per PFF. Zeitler at guard, 3rd. Ragnow at center, 2nd. Decker at tackle, 20th. You have 3 guys who are top 5, 1 guy who's top 20, and then Glasgow, he's in the middle of the pack, about 50th there for him. This is such a powerful part of this team, the way this offensive line has been developed. I'm really excited because I think the Lions are going to need more help. They're going to have to start cycling through stuff when you get to be so good. Hutchinson's eventually going to need money. The safeties, Joseph, those guys, they're going to need money. Joseph playing at a really high level, number 1 graded safety per PFF all of last season. Branch doing really great as well. Guys are going to have to start to get paid, and you're going to need to be able to keep drafting and developing good offensive line talent, because that's why these skill position guys have been good. Do you think Jahmyr Gibbs would have been so good as a running back if he did not have probably the best offensive line in the league in front of him? No, definitely not. So I think Fraley being here, able to cultivate and get these other offensive line guys up through this system, like you said, he's a great fit for the culture, he's a great fit for the team, and he's the secret sauce, I would say, like you said, to this Lions attack.